If I haven't seen much of these videos on YouTube, so we're gonna see if we can put some up and help some guys out. I'm doing cleaning the exhaust or rave valves on my Skidoo 850 E-Tec. I think I'd have to reread it, but I think on the Skidoo recommended maintenance it's every 6 or 8,000. I may be wrong, and you're welcome to throw it in the comments and correct me, but I think last time I read it years ago it was something like that. They were saying it has to be done around then, but being the over maintenance whore I am, I like to do them every other season. So my sled's got 3,000, over 3,000 kilometers on it, so roughly every 1,500 kilometers I've done it. I'm sure it's stupid overboard, but it's not much. It's just whatever, it's like a $4 gasket and some screws and stuff, and you know, quick cleanup and nice smooth operation. You don't want those things sticking or gumming up on you and killing performance, so why the heck not, right? So I'm just gonna show what I do. Hopefully that helps some people out. I'm no Skidoo expert mechanic by any means, and if anybody has some better ideas on how to do this, 100% throw them in the comments, let me know, and I'm sure to help some other people out. But that's what I'm open here to do, help some people get the job done. So around here, so obviously most people know what the Gen 4s are now to pull the hood and everything off them. It's obviously the 2 side panels, the 3 screws on each side, and then hood slides off, some clips and stuff like that. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. If anybody needs help with that, I'm sure they can reference other videos on how to pull that stuff. I like to pull the pipe and muffler all out of the way. That gives you a ton of access to get your hands in there. So I already started loosening off the this is the actuator cable that actually actuates the valves. So it's just one lock jam nut on the top. You unlock that and it brings it loose. Then there'll be one Allen head bolt right here that loosens off the tab that this cable connects to. And then there'll be 1, 2, 3, I believe, maybe 4. Yeah, once you get all this stuff out of the way. Anyways, I'm jumping ahead of myself. But once you pull that cable and this Allen head bolt off, it'll loosen and let this go. And then it's the 2 nuts. They're also, you know, it's threaded onto plastic, so you gotta be gentle with them. The 2 nuts that actually hold the valve to this carriage style thing that actuates both of them at the same time. And then you'll loosen off the 2 bolts for the sensor. So this is the actual sensor that goes to the computer and it does all its fun stuff, tells it what position it's in and all that. Once you got that loosened off, we'll get this out of the way, and then we'll get to that part where we pull the bolts and pull the actual cover off. But you know, we'll check back in with you in a sec here. Okay, here we are back at it partway out. So actually the bolt that goes here that holds the cable in, so this is how it looks once it comes out. Here we are. So it's got a little tab that slides in on the opposite side. You can see the little fingers right here. Pardon my shitty video quality here, but on the other side's got obviously this hole here that the little T25, I thought it was an Allen head, I think I said, but the T25 Torx. These 2 bolts here are T30 for the sensor. The one right here, this is a backcountry, so I believe the steering stem has a little bit of a different bend on other sleds. My dad's are Renegade and stuff like that, it's a little bit different, but this one's literally dead right in front of the bolt right behind it. It doesn't give you a ton of room to get ahead of a ratchet and the socket on it. So I don't know, maybe if you have a 1/4 inch drive one, that might give you enough room space. But my little quick thing is here for anybody, if they want to use it, they can. My redneck fix here, don't mind me. See what's literally right there is the socket. So I just gripped it with the vice grips, put the socket right in there, and just kind of twinkle the way at it until, let's see if I can do this looking through the camera. Just keep spinning it until it comes out. So I know this is, I think this is mostly a backcountry problem. It literally doesn't give you, let's try this side. Really doesn't give you that much space there to put like even a flex or anything behind it. But like I said, if you had a 1/4 inch drive T30 socket set, maybe it might not be as thick or something, but I got these 3/8 drive ones, so it does the job. I mean, do what you gotta do to get the job done. This is what I'm doing, so hopefully it works. If anybody has any better ideas, you're welcome to throw it in there. But yeah, so once I get that off, I'll check back in with you and we'll see what the next steps are. Oh, also to add these aluminum nuts on top of the stems for the valves. These are 15 millimeter, so 2 15s. You gotta again be careful because plastic stuff going on here, but just lightly with the ratchet, just should only be a few threads out they go. And then, so now it's pretty much loose. And you can see it just doesn't have enough room with that sensor. The stem for the sensor is not letting it out. So once I get that last bolt off, it should be easy breezy, slide her on out, and we're on to the next step. All right, next step here. So once you get that plastic slider out of the way, so you'll see this is that sensor I was telling you about. So it's literally just, it's got a big hole in it. And then there's, I'm assuming it's probably some type of magnet on the stem of this side, and then as it slides up and down, it tells the computer what she's doing. So once that's loose, it'll help come bring it slide right out, and that's out of your way. Then you'll have these two plastic, oh, where did I set that? You'll have these two plastic caps that are 19 millimeter. Oh, on focus. 19 millimeters. That is just a little plastic cap that grabs onto the head of the valve, Rave valve right here. You can hear it playing around in there. Oh yeah, a little loose, sorry, a good loose, but holy smokes, no late now. Yeah, so that's the next step, is pulling these off that those little aluminum nuts grab onto. And then what they do from the factory, there'll be two oil feed lines. Here's one right here coming in, then the one for this side cylinder. Clutch side cylinder, focus in there, is right there. So you'll see I got two little zap straps on them. So they do come from factory with aluminum like crimp style, which is cool. You can either loosen those off and try and reuse them, but usually I cut them. It's easier just to cut them, and then I'll put a new zap strap on it. So then you come back into service again, you just gently cut the zap strap off, and away you go. And then talking about cutting zap straps, actually, this sensor, it's just strapped together to the loom on top of it. So I just quickly cut that sensor out of the way to give it a little more room to get out of the way, and then we'll put a fresh zap strap on there when we go to put her back on. So the next step is, again, you got to pull these two black caps off, and then we will move on to pulling the, was it two, what did I say, 2, 4, 5, was it 5 bolts, 5 of these T30 head bolts to pull the full cover off, and then we're pretty much right on top of the the valves from there. We'll see you in the next step. Cheers. So on to our next step here. So once you got those, just set that there if I can. So once you get those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts out of there, then don't mind me, I'm a little slow with the camera. This cover, you just kind of wiggle it out because it has these oil seals that go around the neck or the stem of the valves. Slides right out. You can see the remnants of the old paper gasket there, and then there's a little on the back side. But for the most part, for a first quick look at it, it looks pretty darn clean. So next step, obviously, yeah, you pull this off nice and gentle. Once you get those oil lines off, sorry, I'll jump back there. Those oil lines that I had those zap straps on, just quickly snip those zap straps, nice and easy. They slide off just gently with the needle nose, push them off, and they slide off these little nipples. Those two bad boys right there, and that's it. So the next step I usually do, most times I just use like a combustion chamber cleaner in a container, and then collect all these springs and good stuff. A little makeshift tray, just like this one here, kind of. Set that there. Gently pull out our valves, nice and gently, and they look pretty darn good. I've been running the Amsoil Dominator racing oil last couple seasons. It's been making a world of difference. They've been hell of a lot cleaner than running the set that down nice gently. They've been hell of a lot cleaner than, oh, I can't really see it there too well, but a lot less carbon and shit than you'd find on these than you would with just the XPS stuff. I ran that right when it first got this sled in 2020. We've been running the Amsoil stuff since, and man, it seems to be keeping a lot cleaner. Like just one season on that XPS, you find a lot more carbon and stuff in there. So shout out to Amsoil and their stuff, because that's awesome. So yeah, both same deal. Nice and gently grab our two springs here. They are identical, so if you feel like you want to make sure you have your two sides labeled, you definitely can, but they are symmetrical, so either or, same thing, not too bad. Oh, if it'll want to focus there. Not too bad at all. That's actually really, really clean, so I'm happy with that. So usually some combustion chamber cleaner you can soak in overnight, something like that. And then also, I don't know, where is it here? We got this diesel applicator spray. My dad swears by this stuff. Not sure. He says it cleans a little bit quicker. Hopefully it doesn't do any damage or any harm to it, but he says it cleans a lot quicker than that combustion chamber cleaner stuff. But I'm sure either or brake clean or something is not super harsh on it, that you can soak them in overnight, and then a light clean or a light with a rag or something soft, pull that carbon stuff off, clean all that stuff. But other than that, that's pretty much it. And we'll come back with the next steps on resealing and everything, clean up faces, and we'll check everything then. Cheers. Alright, unfortunately my phone died on me there, so lost a good chunk of it, but I'll flip the camera around and we'll show you where we left off, and hopefully help you out with finishing her up. So yeah, fortunately I did tie her all back together, but so what we did after I cleaned those valves, let them soak overnight, and that applicator, diesel applicator stuff, I went through and used a sharp razor blade and just gently peeled off the old gasket that was on there. You can see earlier in the video. And then you come back, you set the valves in place, or excuse me, I went in there with some rags and a screwdriver and something that's lintless or something like that, and you go down inside the head and actually clean that up a little bit as well. And then from there, once you got that scraped up, you set the valves back in place with the 2 springs on each valve. You gently set the case, or obviously, what I did, I put a tiny bit of grease, laid it on the this cover side, and then, or you know, the cover itself, and then set it on the cover, and then put a couple of the bolts, just pointing there, a couple of the bolts through to help hold the gasket, because that's kind of a tricky spot to line up the gasket, the springs, and these little you see right here on the cover, those little spots where the gaskets, or the springs go. And then you kind of gently set it down into place. Hopefully everything feels good. You get all the screws started and slowly suck it down, or you know, bolt it down, all the cover. Once that cover is nice and snug, and the you'll feel a bit of resistance when you're pushing the stem behind here, obviously, like we were showing you there earlier, the stem of the valve. It'll be a little bit of resistance coming through this hill, which is good, right? Because obviously that keeps oil and stuff from coming out. And then you snug everything down. I'm sure there's some torque specs on it. You're welcome to look that up. I just snugged it up, you know, did a good hand snug, feel snug, whatever. So a couple ugga-duggas, as they say. And went around, make sure everything's all nice and level. And then, like I said earlier, you can see the 2 lines there, right on top. There's the one line. I put the zap strap. I slid that back. You slide those back on. And then you kind of have to do a bit of a dance, just like coming off. With the setting, make sure you set the sensor back in place as you're feeding the cover back in. And then you can put your 2... right there, your 2 bolts for your sensor in. I threw that zap strap back in place. And then as you're setting the cover, or this plastic guide, back on, you'll kind of line up the tabs for the actuator cable. Slide the one side under the tabs on the right side there, and then you put the torque head bolt back in. And then once that's all set, you put your aluminum caps back on. And again, it's just a snug. So it was, I believe this was the 15. I may be wrong. Coming back a day later to finish off the video. So hopefully that can help you out. But snug those up. And then once you got those snug, just a tiny bit more on the wrench. Again, not too much, because it's going on a plastic cap. And then once you get your cable back set in place, there's this lock nut on the top. Snug that down, and then I slid this little cable cover back on top, and then again that comes right back to your valve adjustment there. I do leave it all the way down. I don't know if there's a specific spot. There has some people have mentioned, I've read on forums stuff, to use the Buds connector, the Skidoo or Can-Am or Bombardier bud stuff. Hopefully, I don't know if you have to do that to get it to reset. I run it right away, let it idle for a little bit, warm up, and then bring up the RPMs a bit on the stand, and then you can see it actuate a little bit, and it seems to, there's no codes or nothing on my end, so hopefully the past few times I've done it, it hasn't done any damage to nothing, and she's still running good. So who knows, maybe that might be a wives' tale, hooking up the buds to it, but or may throw like some type of silent code or something. I'm sure never hurts if you have the system or have quick access to it. But yeah, well, all I did is just run it and let it warm up, run it for a little bit, make sure it's actuating okay, and you're back in business. And then obviously putting all your pipes and mufflers and all that stuff back on. So hopefully that can help some people out. And I'll do, next time I got her prior, I'll do a little more in detail on the going back together. Apologies again. We'll hopefully it'll help some more people out. But yeah, so yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Hopefully that can help some few people out. That's kind of my backyard mechanic way of doing it. And any questions, throw it in the comments, or if there's any you know, Skidoo mechanics or expert dealership mechanics, you're welcome to throw some stuff in the comments as well. Maybe help me and others out, and that's what we're all here for, right? Sledding's a big big community, and we're all about going out and riding and having fun. And fortunately, the weather ain't the greatest right now in southern Ontario, so you know, make the best of it and do some service while we're waiting for the snow, and keep doing the snow dance. And we'll catch y'all later. See you next one. Cheers. Start her off right.